Alright, I need you to step out the vehicle.
What you want to do? You want to take my gun off my head?
Yes, sir.
There's one in the head.
Does your buddy have one as well?
Put your guns in here.
Alright, just hang tight right here for me. Let me clear this. I don't want any accidental fires.
There's no safety. You got to take the
There's no safety.
You take the
Okay.
clip out of it.
Well, I'm not going to mess around with that too much. I'm going to just set this down right here. Dude, step out for me. Yes, sir. Place your hands behind your back for me. Alright, right now you're just being detained. You're not under arrest.
In the dead quiet of a hospital wing, a phrase started echoing across feeds. Prepare for the worst. By sunrise, Atlanta hashtags were in full-blown panic as reports claimed King Hariss, son of T.Y. and Tiny, was in an ICU fight for his life. The story didn't stop at a medical emergency. It spun into a storm of alleged leaks, shadowy audio snippets, rumors of masked visitors slipping into the room, even supposed hacked files alleging strange substances in his blood. Outside, crowds swelled and cameras multiplied. Inside, a family clung to updates measured in heartbeats and beeps. Celebrities posted prayers and warnings, while timelines split between tragedy and target. Posts claimed the next 24 hours were critical, that paperwork no parent wants to see had been raised, and that security footage held answers no one could quite verify. Helicopters drummed over candlelit vigils, and a city that loves its music found itself whispering in hallways about power, enemies, and truth. This isn't just another headline, it's a community holding its breath around one hospital room. This is King Hariss.
I know my son. Think I ain't spoke to my son. Think I ain't told my son, his mama, and his grandmamas. His ass going to prison.
The first push came overnight. Posts saying King was on life support, that the next 24 hours would decide everything, and that family members were collapsing under the weight of it. Clips of T.I., voice shaking, eyes red, asking the public not to give up on his son flew faster than any official statement. Other videos, described as from inside the hospital, showed hallway emotions boiling over, prayers whispered over the beep of machines, and relatives swarmed by cameras. A wave of pray for King comments, candle emojis, and broken hearts turned the ICU into the internet's living room. When emotions hit at that level, the timeline starts writing itself. A rumor suggests multi-organ failure. A second rumor claims a brief flatline and revival. A third thread insists the hospital asked the family to review end-of-life paperwork. None of those details arrive with stamped documents. They ride in on captions and shaky screenshots. But the effect is the same. The city wakes up to a cliffhanger, and the family's private nightmare becomes a public countdown. Crowds form outside. Helicopters thump the morning sky. A hospital known for trauma care suddenly feels like a stage, and every passerby is a critic. Inside that atmosphere, the internet doesn't just want updates, it wants a narrative. Health crisis alone doesn't answer the appetite that builds when tears and sirens share a screen. So the conversation does what it always does. It goes hunting for a villain.
So what they send my warrant for?
So your warrant is for a failure to appear. Dispatch is going to call in and make sure it's still valid.
Failure to appear where? I didn't have no court dates.
Enter the first leak. A muffled audio clip spreads, described as a guard or an insider murmuring that orders came from above and we just cleared the way. It's short, grainy, and completely unverified. That doesn't slow it down. The line is too perfect. It offers motive, hierarchy, and a reason to fear institutions all in one breath. Within minutes, the clip is embedded under bold captions about hits, cover-ups, and a plot to keep King quiet. It's the kind of audio that explodes precisely because it answers questions the hospital can't. Who and why, without answering the biggest one. Is it real? Right behind that comes the second flare. A story that two hooded figures entered the ICU at 2:47 a.m., one moving to the bedside, the other acting as lookout, before the footage cuts. Visitor logs, we're told, were tampered with. Camera angles are missing. Again, we're in alleged territory. Low-res frames, no chain of custody, nothing you could take to a newsroom lawyer. But it feels cinematic, which is all social timelines need to turn suggestion into certainty. The more evocative the rumor, the faster it outruns proof. This is the dynamic that defines a modern crisis. When an official voice is quiet or careful, ambiguous media fills the vacuum. A single whispered sentence becomes the thesis of 1,000 comment sections. A few seconds of dark footage become a storyboard for sabotage. And once those ideas catch, anything ordinary, a nurse adjusting a tube, a guard doing rounds, gets recast as evidence.
If you goddamn keep that shit up, they're going to prison. Ain't no way around it. Ain't nothing I'm gonna be able to do about it. Can't nobody stop it but him. You know what I mean?
Here's the clearest version of the current events as they've been described online. Late at night, King was rushed to the hospital and moved into intensive care. Posts claimed his condition was critical, with doctors warning the next 24 hours would be decisive. Inside, staff focused on stabilizing him: airway, breathing, circulation, while family gathered and word spread outside. By the time most people woke up, "prepare for the worst" was already everywhere. Shortly after those first updates, the story got darker. A leaked medical description started making the rounds, saying his injuries didn't look like a simple fight, more like a sustained beating. The wording people repeated was deep cuts, deliberate bruising, and trauma that didn't match a quick scuffle. None of this came with official paperwork, but it set the tone. If true, this wasn't random. It sounded targeted. Then came the ICU angle. Accounts claimed nurses were on edge, hinting at something being off in the room. Odd readings, sudden drops, and alarms that didn't match what they were seeing moments earlier. That's when an audio clip appeared, supposedly catching someone tied to security or custody, saying a chilling line about orders from above and clearing the way. The clip is unverified, but the sentence is what took hold. With one whisper, the internet shifted from health crisis to someone wanted this. Overnight, a separate claim arrived. 2 hooded figures allegedly entered the ICU at 2:47 a.m. The way people tell it, one person moved to the bedside while the other kept watch, and the footage cuts. The post also said visitor logs were off, names missing, timestamps unclear. Again, we don't have official confirmation, but the image stuck. It gave people a picture to match their fear. Right after that, another thread said unapproved substances were found in King's blood. The post showed what looked like hacked medical files, arguing a chemical was present that wasn't ordered by his doctors. Medical data is complicated. Timing, metabolites, and abbreviations matter, so screenshots don't prove a full story. But the claim hit hard. If something strange showed up after he was admitted, that would suggest tampering, not just injuries from before. The last piece was the most frightening for many. An anonymous nurse alleged the ventilator was shut off for a few seconds, and when hospital leaders checked, the related security footage was missing. Was that a glitch, a policy block, or something intentional? No one knows from a post, but the idea that a life support machine could go silent even briefly is enough to make any family and any city panic. Put together, this is the current picture viewers are responding to: a critical ICU fight, descriptions of injuries that sound deliberate, a rumored whisper about orders, a claimed late-night entry by masked visitors, a supposed lab flag on something that shouldn't be there, and a story about a ventilator blip with no video to review. Some or all of it may be wrong, some of it may be right, but this is why emotions are high now, not because of old clips, but because these specific incidents, if verified, would turn a tragedy into something far more sinister.
The only DUI, I had a suspicion of a DUI a long time ago, and it was dismissed, so I don't know what they could be talking about.
All the shock points in this story circle one place: the doorway to King Harris's ICU room. The claim is simple and scary. 2 masked people slipped in at 2:47 a.m. One headed to the bedside, the other stood watch, and the video cut out. The post that spread this added one more hook. The visitor log for that hour didn't line up with the faces in the clip. None of that has been confirmed by the hospital, but it's the image that locked into people's minds because it puts danger right next to King. Here's what matters for his case. ICU doors aren't supposed to be casual. Staff use badges, visitors get cleared, and every entry should leave a trace. If someone really reached King's bed without authorization, there will be a timestamp somewhere: badge swipes, nurse notes, or a security report filed after an alarm. If there was no breach, those same systems should show a clean record of who entered, when, and why. Either way, the truth lives in the timeline of that doorway. The other claim tied directly to King is the ventilator scare. An anonymous account said the machine was cut for a few seconds. Then the related security footage couldn't be pulled. Even if it was a glitch, a ventilator pause is not a small thing for a patient fighting to stabilize. For King, the only clarifier that counts is a written incident note: which device alarmed, who responded, how long it lasted, and what they did next. That's the difference between rumor and risk. So if you're trying to follow this with King's safety in mind, watch for 3 concrete signs: a verified list of everyone who accessed his room overnight, a documented response to any equipment alarm near his bed, and a formal statement on whether the camera system covering his door was fully available. Until those pieces appear, the masked intruder and missing video stories are exactly that: stories. The stakes are real because the patient is real, and for King Hariss, the answers have to come from the records that guard his door, not from captions that do.
I've already had the conversation. I've already made my peace with it, because I know that energy. I was that energy. I know exactly how it's going to turn out.
Big names jumped in fast. Some shared simple prayers for King Hariss. Others posted vague warnings about the industry. Those messages pulled millions of eyes to his situation, but they didn't add facts about what happened in his room or during his treatment. Support matters, but for King it only helps if it leads to clear information, official medical updates, confirmed timelines, or law enforcement statements. Until that shows up, celebrity reactions shape emotion, not the evidence that decides his case. To move this from rumor to reality, a few specific receipts would settle it. An official toxicology report tied to King's chart with timing against his medications, time-stamped ICU access logs or badge swipes showing who entered his room and when, a security incident report or case number confirming any breach or equipment tampering, and a formal update from the hospital or law enforcement that matches those records. Treat anonymous screenshots, cropped clips, and caption-heavy posts as noise until they line up with these verifiable pieces. If those documents never appear and official updates stay steady and consistent, this points more to a medical crisis than a planned attack.
It's for a DUI out of Pickens County.
Out of Pickens County?
32. Could you go and confirm that warrant?
Watch for steady, dated statements from the hospital. Clear updates that say what was done, when it was done, and how King Hariss responded matter more than any rumor. A police note that confirms an investigation, a case number, or a request for witnesses is another strong sign. If there was any device alarm or ventilator issue, look for a short incident summary that explains the time, who responded, and what changed in his care. If the unapproved substance claim is real, it will show up as a toxicology report tied to his chart with times that line up with his medications. Visitor access should be simple too, a list of who was cleared to be near his room overnight and how they were identified. Also watch the pattern. Fewer dramatic posts and more regular medical briefings usually mean things are stabilizing. If the family speaks at length, the most useful details are the timeline, the names of staff who were present, and what doctors did at each step. If law enforcement holds a short press briefing or posts a written update, that is stronger than any anonymous leak. Legal filings, even if heavily redacted, will move this story more than a dozen clips. Until those pieces surface, treat cropped screenshots and caption-heavy videos as background noise. Facts live in records, not in edits. The phrase unapproved substances is made to go viral. An anonymous account posts what it claims are internal medical screenshots, alleging traces of something that wasn't ordered for treatment. A caption screams, sabotage. Millions share before anyone asks basic questions. Who leaked this? How do we know it's from this hospital? What exactly does the lab abbreviation mean? What was the timestamp relative to other meds? If you've ever spoken to a doctor about ICU care, you know how complicated the chart can be. Drug names, metabolite levels, interactions, timing. Even for professionals, interpretation requires context. That's not to say every leak is fake. It's to say a screenshot is not a lab. A hacked folder is not a signed statement. And a headline like, "They're finishing him off," tells you more about the poster's agenda than the patient's condition. If there's a real toxin story here, it will show up as an official analysis and a law enforcement brief, not as a JPEG with a watermark and a thriller caption. Until then, treating a graphic like gospel is how the internet keeps scaring itself. For King Hariss, the stakes are concrete, not cinematic. If something truly foreign showed up in his blood, the only way to know it matters is a verified tox report tied to his chart, a precise timeline of when it appeared relative to his admission and medications, and a documented chain of custody that rules out contamination. Anything less isn't clarity, it's noise that distracts from his care and from the investigators who would need hard evidence to protect him. Two stories are running in parallel. In the first, a young man is in an ICU, a family is wrecked, and doctors are fighting a brutal clock. In the second, unverified audio, blurry frames, and explosive captions are building a theory about sabotage, orders from above, and a plan to keep him silent. So far, the second story has more momentum than proof. The first story has more pain than any of us on the outside can measure. Drop one verified, time-stamped receipt about King Hariss from the hospital or police. One source, one link, no rumors.